Good morning, Robertsdale, Dry Top area. Hope everyone is doing well. Um, so today I'm thinking a little bit about when things don't go right. You can tell a lot about a person when things don't go right, because when everything is going the way it should be, a person really doesn't have to deal with stress, doesn't have to deal with the unknown, and so things are all rosy. But you see the real character of a person when they're having to deal with things not going right. And what got me thinking about this is yesterday I was having a lot of tech issues. I thought I had them all fixed, and then all of a sudden they weren't fixed again. And so it was kind of frustrating and I mean, really infuriating. And even this morning, I was getting ready to do this devotion. I was trying to open up my Bible study software that I use on a regular basis, and it wasn't working. And I tried to open up something else, and so like all these tech issues were happening. And as I thought about it, I remember about a month ago, I saw this TED talk on adaptability quotient. It's like like a IQ, but it has to do with how we deal with being thrown curveballs, how we deal with different situations, and how we adapt to it. And as I was thinking about that, I was also thinking about, I think that's something, that's important to faith. I always talk about, when I'm talking about ministry, that one of the number one rules of ministry is flexibility, the being able to adapt. And that's one thing that we as a church over the last several months have had to do a lot of. And so, as I was thinking about that, I'm like, well, I know Scripture talks about that, and so I just thought it would be good to look at that. James 1:2 says this: "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." Essentially, James is saying, when we face adversity, when we face things that we have to adapt to, when we face trials of every kind, it's a good thing, because it means that we are being challenged. It means that we are being stretched and grown, and honestly, the testing of our faith makes it stronger. And I think about the ways that we build muscle in our body, and we build endurance in our body. And you build muscle literally by breaking down your current muscle. Weightlifters, when they lift weights, when they push their limits to build more muscle, what has actually happened is the muscle that they have has been broken down some, and new muscle grows in between those broken down pieces of muscle, and that builds them up. It's not a fun process, but it's an important process. You can't build muscle without doing that. And so, and I think about adversity, I think about adaptability, I think about facing various trials. Yesterday, I faced a whole bunch of fun tech trials. This morning, I still face some of those. But we know more about ourselves when we face them. We grow greater when we face them. We really, our mettle is tested when we face trials, when we face problems. And that's not a bad thing. And I think it's something that, as I thought about it, this is something that we as the church, we need to be adaptable. We need to be able to face adversity without, not throwing up our hands and giving up, because that's what God calls us to. Jesus was very clear. The life of faith is not going to be all kumbaya around a campfire. There are going to be many times, and we have seen this in the book of Acts, where the church is going to be on the struggle bus. The church is going to be trying to do the right thing, but being pushed to do other things. The church is not always going to have, the favor of everyone. Book of Acts, they faced persecution from the Sadducees, and later on, the church faced persecution from the Roman Empire. That's adversity. That's trials of various kinds. Now maybe our trials are like mine, where they really aren't the end of the world, but they just make life difficult. Even in those, it's important that we are faithful. Because if we are faithful in the small things, and when we are faced with large things that we have to change, adapt, and deal with adversity and trials, then we're going to be faithful there too. That's part of why James has counted all joy when you face trials, not of just large trials, but of all kinds, of various kinds of large, small, insignificant in our mind. When we face that and we have to adapt and we have to muddle through it, that helps us later on to be able to do that same thing. So just something for you guys to think about. And really, I just, ask, well, how do I react? Ask yourself, how do I react when things don't go right? And question, man, is there something I need to change in that? Do I need to really rethink that and find ways to be more adaptable and flexible when things don't go the way I want them to? Just something to think about today. I hope you guys are doing well. Have a good day.